everyone, it's Seiji, and today I will be doing another book haul, currently reading, and TBR video. Now before I start, I will, as usual, be showing you what I'm wearing. Today is pretty simple. This is just a kind of like oversized white linen shirt I got a couple of years ago or so, and I have these shorts that I got from Grassfields quite recently, and that's about it. Okay, so I do have to say that the past 2 months I've been in a bit of a reading slump with regards to reading novels. I've been reading loads of manga because that's kind of like easy for my last remaining 2 brain cells to actually read. So yeah, not much has been happening on this front. I have been receiving quite a couple of books, so I decided to just show you a couple in this video and just do like a regular book haul in a future video. Okay, so the books, or at least some of the books that came in, I have read actually 2 of these. The first one is People from My Neighbourhood by Hiromi Kawakami, and this was translated from the Japanese to the English by the famous Ted Goosen. And this one was gifted to me by the people over at Granta, and it's a short story collection. It features really short stories, usually they're about 2 pages long, and the ones towards the back are about like 3 or at most 5 pages. Also, this is a very small format. This is like a regular sized book, so yeah, it's a very fast read. I read this in, I think, an afternoon. So yeah, I enjoyed it. The stories are a bit weird and verging on like the dark side. There's a lot of surrealism in this text. You have, for instance, one moment where there's like no gravity for some time. So you have these kids who go into the woods and like start hanging onto trees. You have 2 girls who I think are both named Yoko, and that are locked into kind of like this battle to the death, and just like all these kind of like peculiar things within the neighborhood. So yeah, if you are interested in stories in which you have loads of like surrealistic things happening and the characters not really be phased by that, then I would recommend this one. Now moving on to the other one that I managed to read, it's The Times I Knew I Was Gay, and this is like a graphic novel memoir by Eleanor Cruz, and the title is pretty explanatory. So this is about Eleanor and basically her growing up and realizing that she's gay, and yeah, I read this in a couple of hours or like an hour or 2, and I thought it was really interesting, and also the drawings are so cute and pretty. It's just a great memoir. So yeah, this was gifted to me by Scribner, by the way. Then I have 2 other books that I received, and these are 1 or 2 of my most anticipated books of the years. Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark, and this was gifted to me by Tor.com. I have spoken so many times about this book, so I'll keep it short. It's dark fantasy. It involves the KKK being monsters, which they also are in real life, and people who basically fight against them. So yeah, that is Ring Shout. Really looking forward to this one. And then we have Over the Woodward. I'm so bad at pronouncing this. Over the Woodward Wall by A. Deborah Baker, or A. Deborah Baker. So this is a pseudonym of Seanan Maguire, who wrote Middle Game, and actually parts of this book can be found in Middle Game. So this is actually the book that if you've read Middle Game, basically Middle Game is a dark fantasy book about a pair of twins, Roger and Dodger, and they both embody, well, one embodies mathematics and the other embodies language, because the person who quote unquote created them believed that if you can control mathematics and language, you can describe the entire world with those two entities. And so his idea is to take control over Roger and Dodger and just rule over the world, essentially. And anyways, going a bit off on a tangent, but yeah, it's one of my favorite books. In that book, you have snippets of a children's book, and eventually Maguire decided to write that one as well, and that is this book. Yes, and that was also gifted to me by Tor.com, and I think that is it for like the book haul. Now, moving on to the things that I am currently reading, and this is an absolute mess. I think about 2 months ago, or even longer, I said that I was reading The Only Good Indians. I am still reading The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. This is not because it is a tough book to get through or because I'm not liking it. I'm actually quite enjoying it. It's just that Fortnight Frights has been really stressful, kind of like the organization. So that's actually the reason for my reading slump, if I didn't already explain that at the start of this video. So yes, I'm still reading this. I am at page something. Yeah, I'm at page 80, so about almost a third ways through. So yeah, this is a book about 4 Blackfeet men who are part of a very disturbing event, and years later a vengeful spirit comes for their lives, and they are absolutely terrified. So that's what this book is all about. This is also like one of the book for the live shows for Fortnight Frights, so I will be finishing this soon. I'm aiming for next week, so yes, please like root for me, honestly, because reading's been really tough. Reading in general is tough when you're like really busy and really stressed. Anyway, I am also reading A Grain of Wheat by Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and this is a Kenyan classic, and I'm reading this for my Patreon book club because that's a thing that I'm also doing. And this is a story that is set in Kenya around the 1950s, 60s, I think, around the time of Kenyans independence from the British Empire, Great Britain, etc., etc. And it follows this guy named Mugo who got back from being in one of like their concentration camps because apparently the British people had that. And I don't know, wait, let me just, I don't want to mess up this synopsis, so I'll just read the back for you. Set in the wake of the Mau Mau Rebellion and on the cusp of Kenya's independence from Britain, A Grain of Wheat follows a group of villagers whose lives have been transformed by the 1952 till 1960 emergency. At the center of it all is the reticent Mugo, the village's chosen hero and a man haunted by a terrible secret. As we learn of the village's tangled histories in a narrative interwoven with myth and peppered with allusions to real-life leaders including Jomo Kenyatta, a masterly story unfolds in which compromises are forced, friendships are betrayed, and loves are tested. Yes, that's a great summary of what this book is all about. Incredibly interesting, and yeah, I just feel like lots and lots of African literature doesn't get read, and so as a result we don't really know a lot about Africa's history, especially like during like colonization, before and after, just everything. And reading this book has been incredibly enlightening, and just the story is very, very interesting. Like, it's written so well. But yeah, I'm at page 170 at the moment, so I'm looking to finish this one in a couple of days. Then I have a to read list, and to be honest, it's just me focusing on Fortnight, Frights. So we have The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson, and this is also one of the books for which there will be a live show. And it's basically about this girl. I've said this synopsis so many times, so I'll try and keep it concise. It's about Emanuela, whose mother caused shame to her family, and she lives in a society that is very rigid and puritanical. And then at some point, she ends up in the forbidden woods of this land called Bethel, and there she meets like dead witches who give her information about her mother and just the society as well, and she learns that the biggest threat to Bethel is itself. And yeah, that's what the story is all about. Then the last book that I'm planning to read before Fortnight Fright starts is The Dark Domain by Stefan Gabrinski, and this is a Polish classic. I'm really, really excited. And yeah, this is a book that can be read for Fortnight Frights. There's lots of weird and strange tales in this. Like, for instance, you have this clockmaker who dies, and all of a sudden all the clocks just stop in the entire town, and just loads of like supernatural things, lonely men in Eastern Europe. And apparently Grabinski's work is a bit reminiscent of Edgar Allan Poe's. So if you are a fan of Edgar Allan Poe, then perhaps this short story collection might be something for you. And yes, that is everything I had to say for this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to support me, then perhaps consider joining my Patreon or getting me a coffee. The links are in the description down below. You can also just support me by liking and subscribing and commenting. Anyway, as always, again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in another video.